Meena Mataji, you can start, please.
Hare Krishna. Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 6, Chapter 17.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Sorry. Yeah, Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali. Text 60. Yagno hi paramo dharma. Sorry. Yagno Ragno hi paramo dharma. Sadharma sthanupalanam. Sasato jnana yatha shastram. Manapyatyupataniha.
Hare Krishna. Translation: the supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency.
17. Yatadava Pandaveyanam Yuktamata Vachah Yesham Guni Krishna Yattadyu Bhagavan Krutah.
Translation: the personality of religion said, "These words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger."
Exciting. Can you do up? Thank you. Na vayam klesa bijani yatashu purusa sabah purusham tvam vijanimo vakyo bheda vimohitah.
Translation: O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers.
Kechida vikalpa vashana ahura atmanah devamanye parikarma swabhavamapare prabhu.
Translation: some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause.
Aprata kyadanishya diti kesavapi nischaya atrano rupam rajase vimusha swama mahanisama maya.
Translation: there are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage amongst kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence.
Sutta uvacha evam dharme pravadanti dijasatama samahitena manasa vikheta prayachastama.
Translation. Sutta Goswami said, O best among the Brahmanas, the Emperor Parikshit, thus hearing the personality of religion speak, was fully satisfied, and without mistake or regret, he gave his reply.
राजोवाच धर्मब्रवीसि धर्माज्ञा धर्मोषिहुसरूपदक् यदधर्मकृतस्थानं स च कस्यापि तद्वे.
Translation. The king said, O you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion.
अथवा देवमायाया नूनं गतिरगोचरा चेतसो वच सच्चापि पूतना इति निश्चय.
Translation. Thus it is concluded that the Lord's energies are inconceivable. No one can estimate them by mental speculation or by word jugglery.
तपसोचं दया सत्यम् इति पाताकृते कृता अधर्मा शास्त्रेयो भग्ना स्वायशङ्गं देस्तव.
Translation. In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your four legs are established by the four principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that three of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for woman, and intoxication.
इदानी धर्मपादस्ते सत्यं निर्वर्तयेत्यतः तं जिघ्न क्षत्यधर्मोऽयं नुते नेदितकालिः.
Translation. You are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness, and you are somehow or other hobbling along. But quarrel personified Kali, flourished by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg.
इयं च भूमि भगवता न्यासीतुरुपरा सती श्रीमतीस्तत्पदन्यासे सर्वत्र कृतकौतुका.
Translation. The burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints.
सुचत्य शुक्ला साध्वी दुर्भगेवो चिता सती अप्रमण्या न पव्याजा शुद्रा भोक्ष्यन्ति मामिति.
Translation. Now, she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes, for now she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers.
इति धर्ममहि चैव सात्वत इत्वा महारथ निसातमादति खण्डं कलेय धर्महेतवे.
Translation. Maharaja Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of religion and the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all irreligion.
त्वं जिज्ञासुभिप्रेत्य विहाय न पलाशनं तत्पादं मूलं शिरसा समगाद भयविह्वलः.
Translation. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and, under pressure of fear, completely surrendered to him, bowing his head.
Patitam padavo veera krupaya dinavassala saranyo navati slokya ahachedam hasani.
Translation: Maharaja Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor, surrendered, and fallen Kali, but smiled compassionately, for he was kind to the poor.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my Dandavat pranams to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading the recitation so wonderfully, both in Sanskrit and English. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Today, Sriji Mataji has given me this opportunity to say a few words. So please forgive me for my mistakes. I'll try my level best to say whatever I have understood with Krishna's mercy. Hare Krishna. So today, I believe we are doing text. I thought 15 to 16 it was said, right? Yeah,
Mataji,
15 to
yes, I think so.
16. Yes, sir. So I think we'll do just 15 to 16.
Mataji,
and
15
then,
and 16 you will do, Mataji.
yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. We'll quickly read those two verses before we can do a quick pranama. So this, I think this is, we're reading the chapters, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, and this is chapter 17. Chapter 17 is where the reward of punishment and the reward of Kali. So this is regarding mostly about Kali and what Kali does, you know. So maybe we start off with the first verse. So Anaga Sri Bhuteshu Ya Aga Sri Rankashu Rankushaha Ahartasmi Bhujam Sakshad Martyasyapi Sangadam. We can just put the synonyms. Anaghashu Iha is to the offenseless. Bhuteshu, living beings. Yaha, the person. Agaha Krit, commits offense. Nirankushaha, upstart. Aharta Asmi, I shall bring forth. Bhujam, arms. Sakshat, directly. Amartasya api, even one who is a demigod. Sa Angadam, with decorations and armor. So the translation goes, an upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. I think Mataji, can somebody read the purport for me, please? Would
Yes,
anybody like to?
Hare Krishna, I read it.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. The denizens of the heavenly kingdom are called Amara or deathless. Due to their possessing a long span of life, far greater than that of the human beings. For a human being who has only a maximum of 100-year duration of life, a span of life spreading over millions of years is certainly considered to be deathless. For example, the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that on the Brahmaloka planet, the duration of one day is calculated to be 4,300,000 times 1,000 solar years. Similarly, in other heavenly planets, one day is calculated to be 6 months of this planet, and the inhabitants get a life of 10 millions of their years. Therefore, in all higher planets, since the span of life is far greater than that of the human being, the denizens are called deathless by imagination, although actually no one within the material universe is deathless. Maharaj Parikshit challenges even such denizens of heaven if they torture the offenseless. This means that the state executive head must be as strong as Maharaj Parikshit so that he may be determined to punish the strongest offenders. It should be the principle of a state executive head that the offender of the codes of God is always punished. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Let's quickly say the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So I say this, thank you all. So this chapter, the punishment of and reward and Kali, is both punishment and reward of Kali. So it starts off basically with where the bull and the cow, they're literally crying because the bull, the Shudra, basically starts with the Shudra who's dressed up like a king, and he does most the unkingly activities, and he starts beating off the cow and the bull, very, very mercilessly he starts beating, and they will be crying. And then King Parikshit comes over there and sees, oh my God, what is happening in my kingdom? How can anybody do that in my kingdom? I mean, he's the most powerful king in the whole of the earthly planet. And then you see this man under his kingdom is trying to torture an animal. And he is the protector. He's a super king, and he's the protector of everyone who is under his umbrella, basically. And he's really astonished. And then he literally takes out his bow and arrow to kill him, basically, to say what a ruthless act you're doing. And that is where the whole thing starts off, and then it goes on, and this is how there's a conversation going on between Kali and Maharaj Parikshit, trying to explain, Maharaj Parikshit is trying to explain to Kali that I can, even if anybody who is as powerful as the demigods, or who are Amara, Amara we say over here is because obviously we say somebody who is not dying, but that is not exactly true, but relatively it is true, because when we are human beings, we live only for 100 years, but all those people who are living in this all lokas above the earth, they have a longer life, and their years go in millions and millions of years, and when compared to them our life is very short, so we call them as Amar. But anybody below Brahmaloka will die, because from Brahmaloka onwards everybody is born from this material energy. That's how the universe was created. Above that loka is the spiritual loka, where obviously there is no death. That is where where you have your Goloka, Vrindavan, and Vishnu Loka. So over here, that's why they are told Amara in a way, because they are much more longer life than us. That's one thing where Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain in this particular purport. And the main thing what Maharaj Parikshit says is, so he's trying to explain that in this time when somebody is in this earthly planet, if somebody is trying to commit offense, by torturing people who are who have nobody to protect them, they shall be literally killed by me, or I will just uproot, like how you uproot a shrub or a grass or a tree. I'm going to literally wipe them out of this earth, even though whoever he may be. This is what he's trying to say. Even though that person can be much more powerful than me, I have such mental strength that obviously I'm going to kill them off or take them off and protect my citizens. This is what he's trying to say. And when he says my citizens, it means those people who are pious, because we relate Maharaj Parikshit to be a very pious person and a very person who's law-abiding person. And he expects that if he's the head of the state, if he is a law-abiding person, then automatically he would expect that all his people who are there, or the praja, all the people, or everything who's up, they should be law-abiding. So anybody who goes against the law-abiding will be punished appropriately, he says. Because anybody, he says also, anybody who goes against the code of God, basically. So code of God means being law-abiding, doing the right things, doing the virtuous things, and not doing non-virtuous or wrong things. So the wrongdoer is always punished. And over here, so he tries to, Maharaj Parikshit also says that he really stresses that the head of the state should always be very strong and powerful and very pious. Then only he can actually fight against evil. If he himself is evil, then how can he fight against evil? So that we can take it into a family life, or in our daily life when we do. We have to, you'll see the house where the head of the state is really strong and doing pious activities, you will see less argumentation, less, what do you say? They're not congruent, or they do not get along. They are always, the life is very peaceful because they are obeying certain rules in the house and they don't go against the rules. And because they know if they go against the rules, there will be a problem. So this is how, the rules are supposed to be nice. So we go by the Vedic scriptures, what are good and what are bad. It's not like I'm the head of the state, so I make my rules, so that becomes the rule. No, nothing like that. You also have to follow the Vedic scriptures. And what the Vedic scriptures say, and if you follow, then you're following the code of God. And by following the code of God, you are actually, in a way, being the representative of God. So that is why in everywhere, wherever we go, we take, in olden times, the kings were equated as God in that way, because they were supposed to be the character is supposed to be very good, and they lead by example, and they're there to protect their subjects. And they can only do so by being honest and truthful and righteous. And also, they should have that judgment to basically see who is good and who is not, who is righteous and who is at false, or who is truth, who is untrue. So all that righteousness, that's how he will judge, and then he will try to punish people. So over here, Maharaj Parikshit is challenging, saying that Kali, the Shudra and the Kali over there, the Shudra, that I can kill you, whoever you may be, or whatever you can may be. So that is what has been said over here. So like that, I feel like we, as being a Vaishnava community, and being like a big Vaishnava family in this planet, we also should follow the rules and regulations set about by Srila Prabhupada. Basically, Srila Prabhupada, His Grace, is also taking these rules and regulations from the Vedic scriptures, and these have come from generations, and this has come from Krishna himself, and from all, and passed on to different through the parampara. So we should follow these. Once we follow these, then we will ourselves be at ease, and we will not be defaulting, And because when we go a little bit out of the tracks, like rail tracks, when the train goes, if it's on the track, it's absolutely fine. But if it is slightly out of track, then it'll obviously tilt and fall off. So even if you try to just sway, we should try to come back. Like I remember His Holiness Keshava Swami Bhagavan Maharaj always tells, how the aeroplane goes. The aeroplane always actually goes in a trajectory, but it cannot go in one straight line. So it tries to always come back into the track. So like that way, because we have so much of material influence around us, we cannot be always right, So we have to try and come back to the track and try and come back. And for that to come back, we should take the help of our supreme heads, and our supreme heads are our gurus or our Diksha gurus, our Siksha gurus. They are there to help us. So that way, then we can be in the right path. So this is what I can understand in this particular purport. So let's go to the next one. So if that is okay, Mataji, can we go to the next verse, and then we can take a look at the next verse. If anybody has any, we can take the questions later if that's okay. So the next, yes, Mataji. Next verse is again, it is 16th verse of chapter 17. Rajño hi paramo dharma swadharmasthanupalanam shashatonyaan yasha shastra manapadhyutpathaniha. Synonyms. Rajñah, of the king or the executive head. He, certainly. Paramaha, supreme. Dharmaha, occupational duty. Swadharmastha, one who is faithful to his prescribed duty. Anupalanam, giving protection always. Shasataha, while ruling. Anyan, others. Yatha, according to. Shastram, rulings of scriptures. Anapadi, without danger. Utpathan, persons going astray. Iha, as a matter of fact. Translation. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. Hare Krishna. Can somebody read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna. Can I read? Very good. There is mention of apadharma or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happening. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishwamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description. But that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called Swadharmastha, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita, 1848, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such swadharma might be violated in cases of emergency. If one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such Swadharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be, and he should give all protection to the followers of Swadharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra. In the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. I was wondering whether we should do the Bhagavad Gita 18.48 over here also, and then we'll have a quick summary. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, what shall I do?
You can just click on the Bhagavad Gita 18.48. It'll come up to that. You can see on the
18.4
paragraph.
Bhagavad Gita.
It's there, Mataji, on the bottom. It's there in the same purport. You can just click
Okay,
on
okay, yes.
It'll come up.
Yes.
Thank you. So in this, again, it is to see how it goes in the 18.48 when the same thing is again said, and it's a little bit more than this is Srila Prabhupada has again tried to use this verse over there to reinforce of what is written over there. But I thought we'll quickly do this and then we can go together in one go. So, Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosha mani na tyajet sarvarambha hi doshena dhume nagnirivavritah. Synonyms: Sahajam, born simultaneously; Karma, work; Kaunteya, O son of Kunti; Sa, dosham, with fault; Api, although; Na, never; Tyajet, one should give up; Sarva arambhaha, all ventures; He, certainly; Doshena, with fault; Dhumena, with smoke; Agnihi, fire; Iva, as; Avritaha, covered. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, the son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. This is what Krishna is saying to Arjuna. Could somebody read the purport, please, for this one?
I can read it, Mataji.
Please.
In conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. Even if one is a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, however pious he may be, has to fight enemies. He cannot avoid it. Similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, must sometimes hide his profit to stay in business, or he may sometimes have to do business on the black market. These things are necessary. One cannot avoid them. Similarly, even though a man is Sudra serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. Despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duty, for they are born out of his own nature. A very nice example is given herein. Although fire is pure, still there is smoke. Yet smoke does not make the fire impure. Even though there is smoke in the fire, fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements. If one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of a Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of a Brahmana there is no unpleasant duties. One may then conclude that in the material world, no one can be completely free from the contamination of material nature. This example of fire and smoke is very appropriate in this connection. When in wintertime, one takes a stone from the fire. Sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes and other parts of the body, but still one must make use of the fire despite disturbing conditions. Similarly, one should not give up his natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. That is the perfectional point. When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the defects in that particular occupation are purified. When the results of work are purified, when connected with devotional service, one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self-realization.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely read. Thank you. So let's go back to the verse 16. No? So basically, over here, Prabhupada is saying like, so what is Apadharma? Apadharma, he is trying to explain what is Apadharma. What is your constitutional duty? You know? So basically, what is,
Excuse me,
how does one
Mataji.
realize? Sorry, Mataji.
There's lots of background noise. Can speak.
Yes, I don't know, somebody is
Unmuted.
might have to
Yes, you can
mute.
unmute, please.
I think Mataji has to mute. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain what is Apadharma. So Apadharma, or what is your occupational duty? But then all of us can think of asking like, what is our occupational duty? How do we choose our occupational duty? That's always $1 million question, isn't it? So what comes first, the egg or the chicken, or the seed or the plant? Which comes first, you know? So all of us know that in us, we have a soul, and our soul will help us, will guide us to go to your occupational duty. And how do you know that is the right occupation for you? When you are really comfortable in it, okay? Then you know this is swadharma, that you have no this thing. When you don't feel you're right in it, you keep on changing jobs, you keep on doing things till you come to a place, yes, this is my right duty. So once you found your right duty, then you have to do your dharma. You have, no matter what, you have to do your dharma. Like a young girl is born, that is fine. When she gets married, she has children. When she has children, the same thing holds for father, mother, and father, same thing. When they have the children, then their dharma becomes they have to look after the children. So they will have to abide that by any cost, and they tend to do that. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say over here, that you have to do your dharma. So doesn't see all of us. So any dharma, there's nothing good dharma and bad dharma. There's nothing good work and bad work, you know. Swadharma. Swadharma is you have, whatever duty is given to you, you have to do it. And that is by rule. So if you are a Brahmana, you're supposed to perform yagnas, and then you're supposed to teach everybody the script from the scriptures, all the good things. Kshatriyas, they have to protect their subjects. Vaishyas, they have to do the merchandise and try to feed all the population, everything. And then coming to your Shudras, you're supposed to be serving. So this is your dharma. The same way everybody has different professions, but in our profession, we will have to do our own dharma to the best of the ability. And then what happens, suppose if a dharma is not right for the other person, but it might be right for you. But then whatever you do, by offering your prayers, because you're not doing it for yourself. Remember that. You are not doing it for yourself. You're all parts and parcels of Krishna. So you're doing it for Krishna. It is under the directions of Krishna that you're doing that. So if by not doing that, you're in a way disobeying Krishna. Okay. So by actually doing your dharma, then you can, you're never sinned. You're never sinned. Even though it might be killing an animal or killing an ant or killing a tree or whatever it is. But if that is your profession, you're doing a dharma. But then offering whatever act you have, just praying to God and saying, so the sin is not really, you're not the sinner in a way. That is the best way I can explain. So they have given, for example, so they've given an example where over here, like how the Brahmanas olden times, they have to kill an animal for sacrifice. So that is a dharma, but does not come under papa. But suppose if a person who can normally survive on other things, but kills the animal for sense gratification, then that is not Swadharma. Okay? So those are the people who will be punished. And this is what example Sri Prabhupada is trying to give over here. By doing something which is against the principles is not Swadharma. So suppose if you are, for example, the best way I can give you is, your dharma is to do, for me, is to do, to treat my patients, and I should treat everybody equally. And I should treat everyone. We should not look into somebody who has money, I will treat them more, or somebody who has less, I will treat them less, or somebody is poor, I don't want to give my time for them. That means you're going against your dharma. Your dharma is to treat the people who are not healthy, treat the ill people, and you have to treat everybody equally, sab saman. Okay. Of course, there's a difference between somebody who's acutely unwell, then we have to look at them quicker, and the other person maybe less emergency. That is not called as, you can't divide that as that. You're still doing a dharma. The same way, when everybody comes into a situation where everybody will come into a place where they will say, this is my dharma or not, you will know, your heart, your soul will tell, because Krishna is always guiding you all the time. And when you start doing wrong things, you will, first time when you do the wrong things, all of you will know. I mean, it is when you do something which is not in your dharma, you will have all the signs and symptoms that you're not doing right. So you will start, your heart will go very fast, you will start sweating. Suppose you want to steal someone and you're not a thief, yeah? So the thief is never born a thief. Thief becomes later a thief by his habits. By not following the rules and regulations, he becomes a thief. Because nobody is born a bad, nobody is born a good person. So going back over there, so first time when you do something wrong, that means you're going against your dharma, you will get all the signs and symptoms. If you listen to it, Krishna is calling you back, but you're not turning back, then the next time you do, the symptoms will be a bit more less. And the third time you do, it becomes a norm. So what is exactly, so anything, so next time it's just stealing. Somebody, oh, this is mine, it's okay, it's fine, I can take it. No, it is not, you can't take it. It's not your property. The same way example is killing an animal first time, and then again killing, okay, somebody, if you're not hungry and there's nothing else to do and there's no other living person there, then for survival of existence, killing an animal at that, because you can again get back your virtues by basically doing penances and austerity. So they say that that's an exceptional circumstance. That's what they say. An exceptional circumstance you are allowed to do, but that is not a norm. Okay, so you cannot do that as a everyday thing or everyday ritual. Very, 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 very extent. But you have, before doing that act also, that heinous crime or whatever, you have to look around everywhere to see whether have I run out of all resources. So coming into that, I want to just tell the story of sage Vishwamitra, where basically Yudhishthira, there's a conversation between Yudhishthira and Bhishma Pitama. And Bhishma Pitama, Yudhishthira will be saying, I am a king, I want to do everything righteously and all for my subjects. But what do we do when things become really very, very worse? I mean, in adversity. In the adversity, everything goes wrong because your thinking power really goes out of the window. You can't think properly and you start doing all wrong things, even against your consciousness. You're doing all wrong things. So example of what happens during the end of Treta Yuga and the beginning of Dwapara Yuga. So there was a very severe famine, severe drought was there. And because of this drought, then what happened? Indra, who is called thousand-eyed deity. So he obviously could not shower any rain, nothing, everything became so dry. And then Brihaspati went up into retrograde, started going back his steps. And the moon now started going down south. So everything ulta, everything is becoming all wrong. All the water in the whole planet started drying. The rivers became like little bit springs. All the wells dried. Everything became dry. And so basically when there was no water, then the plants died. And then the animals who were feeding on the plants, they started dying. And then same thing, human beings started dying. And then afterwards, what happens when, because for hunger, people at that time, they lose their mind and they started eating other human beings. So all those things would happen if somebody is in very drought situation, in a situation. And that time, Vishwamitra happened to be in that situation where he was literally searching for food. And he kept his family in some place, whatever. And then he was searching for food so that he could go and get some food to eat. He searched everywhere, he could not. Then hunting, well, walking, he comes to this place where the Chandalas live. So he comes to this Chandalas community. And over there, then he sees there's a big piece of meat in front of a Chandalas. He waits, he sleeps, and he waits till it's dark. Now, see, this is the king, this is the biggest sage, Vishwamitra, very pious sage. But see, when there is adversity, even his thinking goes for a six. He starts thinking like, oh my God, I want to steal this meat. But then he's starting to think like, even if I survive, he's trying to reason over there. So stealing the meat is okay, because if I steal the meat and eat, then at least I can survive. And then I can do austerities and penances to, again, do more. Then I can get my virtues, and hopefully I will try to redeem myself, will become a bit better. So what he will do, he waits for all the Chandalas to sleep. And then in front of this, wherever the person goes up to sleep, he starts going and tries to steal the piece of meat. And then the Chandala inside actually is not slept, he's just lying down, and he starts shouting, who's there? Who's trying to open the door? And then Vishwamitra says, okay, it's me, I'm really very hungry. Can I please take this meat? Then this Chandala, he hasn't lost his consciousness, because he's eating normal meat and everything, any dog meat and animal meat he eats. So he realizes this is a sage, and he tries to bring the sage back into track by saying like, oh my God, how, first of all, he puts in Dandavat Pranam and says, it is very nice of you to come over here and everything. But he really feels really sad that why the sage should come and ask him meat. And he tells him, no, it is not good for you. You should not be having this meat. It's dog meat. It is the most horrible of all the meat, the lowest of animals. But then there's a conversation goes on between Chandala and Vishwamitra. And then they come to a conclusion that there'll be a big conversation saying that why he was eating this, why he wants this meat, and why having this meat at this time of adversity is okay. And so he gets the meat, and then he goes and he performs yagna, and then he tries to offer it to all the gods and all the Pitra Devas, and then obviously the gods become satisfied, and then there'll be big rain and everything becomes, but then he eats the meat. This is the whole story of what is it, he eats the meat. So what the whole outcome of that story is that, this lesson from the story is that in the extreme circumstances, you can break the rules. Extreme circumstances. But you should not make it a norm. You should not become a ritual, not become a routine, because then you are not doing a Swadharma. So again, over there, Krishna will be again trying to say in Bhagavad Gita. So if I could go there. So over there, like, so by doing a Swadharma, and so you are actually following the instructions of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And also by doing that, then you are not going away from the scriptures. And in this, the Bhagavad Gita, again, Lord Krishna will be explaining to to Arjuna that because we are all in the material world, there is no, everything from this material energy has, whichever is born from this material energy is never pure. So we will not have any good things or bad things, as explained earlier. So he says you have to give in your full effort to do your duty, and you have to try do your duty to the best of your ability. And he gives examples as how even the Brahmana has to kill an animal, even though he's very pious, for yagna. The Kshatriya, even he's a very, very, very pious person, he's very dutiful, and he still has to kill his enemies. And the Vaishyas also have to do a little bit of chori, stealing for a little bit of profit, for the business to flourish, so that if he gets money, then he can do more business, and then he can feed everyone and give everybody clothes. And the Shudra, Even though he has a bad master, that doesn't make him a bad person. He's just performing his duty. He'll just listen. But they are like example lawyers, we have two parties, one party, which party is good or which party is bad? How do we know? So each lawyer is doing their own duty. They're doing the Swadharma. As long as they don't do whatever their soul tells them, they'll be doing it. So, but for us, all of us know, but they also have to follow the rules, what is in the penal code or what is in the constitution or what is in the law books. They have to go by that. If they go beyond that, then obviously they're not doing the Swadharma. So that applies to every profession, every relationship it applies to. So if we do the Swadharma, then there'll be less disharmony among all of us. And this is what the Lord Krishna is trying to say, that everything is, so another example I can give is like with fire, every fire, there's some smoke. So doesn't mean that the smoke will contaminate the fire. The same way, like Rishi Vishwamitra having that small meat will not contaminate all his pious activities. So, and to even, for example, I can give you the dharma is like how the mother, olden time, nowadays we don't have this lakdi ka, fire with all the wood. We used to make those old fires. To light that fire, the mother has to really take this big tube and try to blow the air so that the smoke goes and then the fire starts off, but then she has to, all the smoke comes into eyes and then it burns, but then she's doing her Swadharma, whatever it is, so that she can cook a meal and feed her family. So that is her Swadharma. So there are lots of other examples where we can say that we have to do Swadharma. So what over here we are trying to say over here in this thing is, in this canto is where reward of punishment and reward of Kali. We are trying to say that over here, when Kali, obviously, there's a conversation between Parikshit and Kali, and they will be trying to say as to, so basically, Kali should not be living in this place because he's not he's not a dharmic person. He has to go away and not be under King Parikshit's country or in his land. So obviously Kali will ask and say, where do I go? Then obviously we have those 4 places where he will say, okay, go and stay where there's gambling, where there's drinking, where there's prostitution, where there is animal slaughter. You can go and stay up there. But then he also gives him the thing of gold, because obviously he tries to search everywhere and say there is not that is not there in your kingdom. So then Parikshit Maharaj will say, okay, the 5th one is gold. So what does gold represent? It represents falsehood. It represents intoxication. It represents lust. It represents envy. It represents enmity. So anything in excess is bad. So this is where Kali goes and lives. So that's where anything you try to accommodate more, your pride will start coming off, So when just going back to all those 4 religions we had, which the bull, which had like all the 4 legs, and each leg would represent, one leg represented austerity, another one represented carelessness, another one represented mercy, another one represented truthfulness. So the bull had lost all the 3 legs, that is, he lost austerity, cleanliness, and mercifulness. He's only living by truthfulness. That's the only leg we are living. Now that is also going. Now you see how in this present world, you're getting more and more falsehood. Now falsehood is becoming the norm. So telling lies is just like anything. It is like truth in Treta Yuga. Sorry, first one is Treta Yuga. No, first one is, what is the first Yuga?
Satyuga.
Satyuga. So Satyuga. Thank you very much, Mataji. So Satyuga, truthfulness is the norm over there. Kali Yuga, falsehood telling lies is the norm over here. So that is what is happening. So all this religion starts when you have too much of pride, too much of lust, and too much of other bad things, and like intoxication, greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, oh my God, vanity, lots of things, and you can name it, is listless. So we have to try and search our inner soul and try to, like the 2 birds on the tree, the bird looking at the apple or the fruit and trying to enjoy the sense gratification, eating the fruit. So we should come away from sense gratification and have our sense gratification for Krishna. So if you turn around, Krishna is always waiting for you, looking for you. When is my child coming back to me? So the moment you turn, he will just, you take one step, he takes 10 steps. So that is what we have to do now. And so that was the moral of this whole, both the verses. I hope I've been able to express that. And Sri Prabhupada, please forgive me if I've done any mistakes, and all the devotees, please forgive me. So I'll open the thing for questions if anybody has. I'll give the thing to you, Mataji. You can see if anybody has any questions. Thank you so much for listening.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much explaining about the Swadharma, because when you read the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about Varna Ashrama and Kshatriya and Brahmana and all that. Because we don't follow the Varna Ashrama in these days, it says that everybody is Shudra because everybody is serving. Then sometimes it gets so confusing, What is your Swadharma,
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for explaining that nicely.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mamta Mataji. Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna.
much for your wonderful class. My humble obeisances unto you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, thank you for explaining the Swadharma. It was so nice. I just logged in a little bit late and you were explaining about Swadharma. That is like very natural, isn't it? Swadharma
Yes.
is naturally when you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Otherwise, it will be like you will be restless and you won't feel 100%.
Yes.
Isn't it? So once Keshav Maharaj was giving a class, I think it was Gita Unlocked. I don't know if you attended that.
No, Mataji.
Gita Unlocked. So he was saying the Swadharma. So again, this question came up about what is Swadharma. How will you know that you are doing your Swadharma? So he explained the Swadharma will take you to mode of goodness. Swadharma then will take you to Sattva. He said, and then Sattva will take you to Prema. So that's how
Exactly.
you know that you are doing Swadharma. That Swadharma will lead you to Sattva and Sattva will lead you to Prema. So that was very nice. So I remembered it and memorized it. And
Thank you, Mataji, for bringing up the topic. Absolutely, you're right. Because once you do your Swadharma, you start enjoying your work, isn't it? Enjoying yourself. And then obviously the ecstasy happens, once then you'll feel so much of love everywhere. Then
Yeah.
when you're happy, then you will start, everybody will be happy for you, because that is how you're spreading that is the mood you spread. And then even the other person is doing something wrong, you just forgive them. Oh, it's okay. Because you're in the right path, isn't it? It is like swimming with the waves than against the waves,
Yeah.
When you swim with the waves, it's so easy. But if you're swimming against the waves, my God, 10 times the effort you got to put.
Yeah, that's
it.
true. Yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So a long time ago, like when there was like in India, there was joint family.
Yes.
Because work was distributed in the family, some
Yes.
women, I can speak of men and women. So for women, so some women would look after all the children in the house, all the
Yes.
children, her children, her, whatever.
Yes, it's everyone's, yes.
Yeah, and then some women will cook for the whole family. Some women will do this. So the work was distributed, and it was like
Yes.
that's why there was so much love and cooperation,
Yes.
because they were following their Swadharma. That's why. And
Absolutely. And we should
yes,
bring back that again, Mataji, because now everybody's struggling because of this, because everybody wants a nuclear family that becomes so selfish, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is so difficult with nuclear family. You have to become all rounder and do multi-purpose, and it's not possible. Like I sometimes feel like we are doing, like sometimes we are Brahmana, sometimes we are Kshatriya, sometimes Vaishya, Shudra, everything, because everything you have to do, isn't it, from top to
Yes,
bottom.
that's the house. That's your house. So in that again, you have who is the king, the Brahmana, who is the king, and who is the executive head, and who is the main head, And who is the Kshatriya over there, and who is the Vaishya, and who is the
Who is
Shudra.
and who is the menial servant? You are the menial servant as well. So
But
it's
we
all
don't take it personally. We're just doing it for Krishna or anything.
yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was much better when society was cooperative. Now it is very individualistic. That's why there is so much problem.
Absolutely.
Very yeah, it is very difficult situation nowadays. So that's why so many problems which were not existing before has come up now.
Yes, yes, Mataji.
And people like individuals, because of the amount, you know, because everything is topsy turvy, individuals are breaking down because they can't
Yes, they can't bear. They can't bear
a
that.
point comes, yeah, they're so overwhelmed that they can't even function, they can't even do their daily routine or anything. They are incapable of doing the simplest thing because they have broken down. So it's sad. Anyways,
Yes,
okay, thank you,
thank you so much for that input. You know, nice. I hope all of us tell a future generation that there is strength. You know, see, five sticks together, nobody can break. You know, one stick is that will break it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we have to realize. Olden times, there used to be all those nice moral stories we used to have before.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Now, like one Panchatantra and all those things, nice stories we used to have.
Very nice. Yeah.
I think we should go back a bit into that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear so much of them, you know, Panchatantra, Hitopadesh, so many spiritual stories. They're full of like if you go back to Indian, you know, normal like education, there's so much education for children was all about moral stories. It was all
That's the
about
first education, yes.
yeah. It was so much like that. Now, obviously, in this country, we don't find that at all. And yeah,
Well,
anyway.
I think again we should try to look within ourselves, I feel, because it's so easy for us to say where we are because we came here, nobody called us, we came here on our own. So we have to adjust according to what is available to us. I'll tell you an example because I remember when people were joining different. This is an example which in my life, my experience, I'm telling. So we all come here because out of our wish we came. Nobody called us. The same thing when you join a different institution, everybody we come on our own. So then we got to adjust according to them first. Okay. And then it'll be easy. Because then if you don't, then you fight against them because they have a system already. So you can't fight against the whole system.
Yeah.
But it'll be easier for you to change than to fight against the whole system, which has been there for many years.
Yeah.
And that is what we make a big mistake by trying to fight the system and trying to change the way you want it. But the only person that can be changed is you. You cannot change anybody else. And that applies to everyone. If the only person we can change is ourselves. If we change ourselves, then everything will look different.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
So should we say our prayers then, Mataji? Thank you all for really listening to me today. And thank you for giving the association. Vancha kalpatarusya kripa sindhuvya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mamta Mataji.
Thank you, Mamta Mataji. Wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Krishna Mataji.
Very nice class.
Very
Nice
nice
session.
class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Mataji.
Thank you so much.